time. You will be cut short before you've really found your prime. You still need much more. Down the line you're only building up toward the dust storm, chilling at your windowsill and front door. You could get out of bed, but what for? Sitting on the couch instead, scratching your nuts raw. You're running out of meds.
Yeah, in fairness, I wasn't gonna stop making music. I thought I might stop making hip hop. And I started an indie pop record, and when Fake 4 signed me, it was not for Louis Logic record, it was for the indie pop record. I sent Ceschi 4 songs over the course of maybe a year that were self-written, recorded demos of basic indie pop singer-songwriter type music, and he really liked them and said he was proud of the direction that I was going in. And I took him on tour as my opening act in Europe, in the UK, which was a weird thing to do because I was opening for somebody else. So I was the opening act and I was going to bring an opener. I was opening for Akil from Jurassic 5, and I brought Ceschi as my opening act. And I surprised him in a hotel room in Plymouth in the UK when I took off my clothes. And that's not I'm just kidding. That's not how I surprised him. I wrote a song it was an allegory, and it sounded like it was about a breakup and being okay without the person, even though you were broken up, as though you had never really needed them. And I had actually recently, before we left for that tour, gone through a breakup with the woman that I'm engaged to now. We were apart for a year and a half, and I think Ceschi thought that the song that I wrote was about my breakup with her, but it was an allegory, and the entire song was about Ceschi's missing finger and how he didn't need it to be a great guitarist. And I played it for him in this hotel room in Plymouth. It's the 5th one of my indie pop songs, and he really liked it. And then I told him what it was about, and he was like, wow. How would you feel about me putting this out on Fake 4? I didn't think anybody would be interested in my indie pop songs. I was doing it for me. And I didn't think I was good enough at them that somebody would want to put it out. And he said, they need work. They're demos, but they're really good demos. All you need is a producer to flesh them out. How about I show them to Gregory Pepper, my Fake 4 label mate, and if he says he'll produce them, I'll put it out. And I was like, I am not showing these to Greg, because I love his records, and I'm embarrassed. And he said, just show him the one that you wrote about my finger. I think he'll really like it. And I emailed it to him that night, and then we got blindingly drunk and had a really sloppy show in Plymouth. And woke up the next day, and I had an email from Greg, and he said, this is really awesome, I want to do it. I will produce your record for Fake 4, and that's how I signed to Fake 4, to make an indie pop record. But after 2 years of touring with Ceschi, I learned that you don't have to separate those things. You can be yourself in its entirety on a record, and that's okay, and it can still be a hip-hop record. He does it. It made me love rap music again, realizing that I could show all those different sides of myself, make singer-songwriter songs, sing as much as I wanted to, write and play the music. As long as the rhymes are still there, and the beats are there, that's all that matters. I got piano lessons for my 31st birthday from an ex-girlfriend, and I always wanted to play piano. I love singer-songwriters, rock, classic rock. I was adopted by an Italian family from New York, like a Brooklyn Italian family when I was a baby, and I grew up on classic rock and punk and not on soul and R&B and stuff like that. So rap music was something I found my way into, and even though I didn't play instruments as a child, I was very fond of the singer-songwriter aesthetic of songwriting. And I think after making rap records for several years and becoming a professional rapper and touring around and having to live through the stigma of being a rap artist, especially with other professional musicians, sound people, and things like that, I started to develop an inferiority complex and an attitude about it. I didn't like how people treated rappers like they weren't real musicians, and they would make fun of our music and say that it wasn't real music and that it was too simply constructed, and that we didn't know anything about music theory or the elementary principles of how westernized music is made, and we didn't. That was fair. But it didn't mean that we weren't good musicians or that we didn't have the wherewithal to be those kind of musicians. It's just, it wasn't something that people who made hip-hop music felt you needed to know in order to make great rap records. And in fairness, you didn't. Brilliant rap records were made for decades before anybody decided they wanted to know something about music theory. I guess it just occurred to me at some point that we can change those people's attitudes by learning something about it, about music theory, by learning how to play instruments, by expanding what's been done in hip-hop into something else and taking it to some place that it hasn't been and elaborating on it in a way that has not yet happened. And so my original idea was, I'm going to learn to play piano and sing, and I'll make rap records that are as detailed and ever-changing and elaborate as a Radiohead record or a Beatles record or whatever. Or, you know, a McCoy Tyner record, like a really complex jazz record.
Nice.
And when that idea got stuck into my head, I was talking about it a lot, and my ex-girlfriend was the kind of person who didn't like to hear someone talk about something and not do it. And so she bought me piano lessons for my birthday when I was 31. And I was such a chicken shit, I didn't take the lessons for over a year. And by the time I called the teacher to find out whether or not she would honor the lessons, I had to have this weird conversation explaining that I had been given these lessons, but I was an adult and a professional musician, and I thought it was ridiculous for a guy my age to start playing piano. I don't know if you're going to be okay with this, but these lessons are over a year old. Would you still honor them? And she said yes. And then I went to my first lesson, and she was a smoking hot Japanese chick with freckles. And I wasn't even with the girlfriend that bought me those piano lessons. And I remember when the piano instructor opened the door going, damn, she was always so much smarter than me. So smart. She knew that I was going to walk into those lessons and not want to embarrass myself in front of this super smoking hot woman. And I was going to try really hard, and it was going to make me make use of those lessons. I would become a piano player, and she was right. And that's how I learned to play piano. And I was 33 when I started. Just about.
Oh yeah.
We've already talked about that.
Yeah.
We just linked up a few hours ago. Actually, corny as it may sound, that probably happened within 5 minutes of us linking up. We sat down in the car after we played some elementary Tetris, just trying to get the basics down, just to get from the airport to the venue. It's not even the proper tour Tetris that we're going to use to get through the rest of the tour. We had to just stack things in a super awkward, weird way. And it took all of 5 minutes. And then we got in the car, plopped our asses down, and a minute from that, the conversation about collaborating came up. It's a backwards thing to do. You're putting your hand right over the part that the sound's supposed to go into.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not simply that. This is a variety of things that your garden variety rap guy doesn't really know about. These things made it so that people from other genres of music, people who work in audio engineering and such, they have a quiet, sometimes not so quiet, disdain for rap music, a judgment, a way of making you feel like you're a lesser musician or a lesser artist. And I was like, fuck that, man. We can change that. Learn something about how to play an instrument and how to use the equipment that you're putting your sound through. Make arrangements in your songs that go beyond the 4 really interesting chords and rhythmic arrangements that are in what you found in an awesome sample. You know, make ones that are they're just kind of ever changing, or you know, maybe they have singer-songwriter structure to them, where it's like an A part that has its own little 4 or 5 chord arrangement, and then a B part of the verse that has another different 3 or 4 chords, and then a C ending that takes you to the chorus that has different chords too. You know, do that. Why not do that? Why not do that? If you knew how to play instruments, if you knew how to name and write chords, you could do that. You could make your rap records as elaborate as you wanted to. I feel like a lot of the records that I made when I first started, they were as elaborate as we knew how to make them, because we found a sample from a record and we couldn't. It's not like we were going to find another sample from another record that was in the exact right key and had the right changes to. I mean, you can do that, but it's like next level hard. RJD2 is one of the only people I've ever witnessed pull that off. Like the Dead Ringer album is like that. It's made of so many different records, but it seems like a band did it because it has so many weird changes and stuff in it. That is hard to do. And most rap artists, producers, whatever, they're not going to do that. You find the awesome 4 count of amazing music, you know, or where there's an incredible sample of somebody doing something awesome and lovable, and then you build your song around that. And what do? You know, you take that part out for a minute and then just do the bass line, just the drums, whatever. And those are the changes in the song. It's the same chords, it's the same musical idea for 4 minutes, you know, and everything's at the same volume from the time the song starts to the time the song ends. You know, it's one of the only musics that's like that. It's a really weird thing to do, actually. In most conventional Western music, they use what's called dynamic articulation, and there are changes in the intensity of the playing and the volume level. So if you're playing the piano, you might be playing the keys.
Yeah.
But most urban songs, rap, R&B, whatever, it's the same volume for each instrument from the time the song starts to the time the song ends. It's almost a counterintuitive thing to do musically, because it's a way to dead feeling. That kills feeling. That's the opposite of feeling. You go to an indie rock show and there are 5,000 bands that can sell out 1,000-person rooms every single night. In indie rap, there's 5. It's embarrassing, man. I think part of the reason is that the music isn't growing.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. If you want rap music to have a future, then you have to give it one. You have to make a future for it. And that was my idea for how to make a future for rap music. Maybe I'm a fucking idiot. I could be completely wrong about how you do it. We could do what the Beatles were doing, or, you know, any awesome old 60s, 70s, 50s thing that we would sample. We could do what they were doing on their records, on our records, just new, original, from scratch. We could do that. You could make a rap record that was as elaborate as the Sgt. Pepper's Club album. Why not? We already have the most elaborate music lyrically. Don't you think it deserves the most elaborate instrumentational accompaniment? I do. That was my idea. That was my big dream and my big plan. And instead, I'm just humiliating myself, alienating all my old rap fans, and making other rappers think that I think rap music sucks. It's not the case at all. I just believe in this thing that moved me so much that I decided not to go to law school, not to make my mom and dad happy and be a regular person. I've been making westernized pop music for like 100 years. Give hip-hop some time. Do you have any idea where this music's going to be when it's 50 years old? I think it'll be in places that none of us imagined, and it'll be more complex and surprising than you could dream of. And I love that idea. I don't even know how I would make or listen to rap records anymore if it weren't for Ceschi and Tone Deaf. Those are the two bravest, most interesting, innovative, exciting, talented people making rap records, in my estimation. And I would have given up if it wasn't for them.
Beasley's Corner Bodega. Big Midwest bodega.